Annabelle Horror Story. The house smelled of age and dust the day they carried her in. The doll sat in the center of a cardboard box, pale face smiling faintly, hands folded neatly on its red-stitched dress. It wasn't porcelain like most dolls from decades past. It was ragged cloth, patched and worn, with button eyes that gleamed too brightly in the dim afternoon light. "Look at this," Sarah whispered, brushing the doll's hair back with hesitant fingers. It was in the attic, wrapped up in paper like someone didn't want to ever see it again. Her husband Michael shrugged. "It's just a toy. Leave it on the shelf. She might like it." She was their daughter Emma, 5 years old, curious, with a laugh that filled every corner of the old farmhouse they had just moved into. But Emma didn't laugh when she saw the doll. Her small hands tightened around Sarah's leg, and her wide eyes stared unblinking at the box. "I don't want it," Sarah frowned. "Sweetheart, it's just a doll." Emma shook her head violently. "No, it's looking at me." The adults laughed, but Emma didn't. That night, Sarah placed the doll on a chair in the living room. The flickering lamplight made its button eyes shine. She told herself she was being silly, that Emma's fear had rubbed off on her. But when she turned out the lights and went upstairs, she could still feel the doll watching. The first noise came at 2:17 a.m. Michael sat up in bed, frowning into the darkness. "Did you hear that?" Sarah stirred. "What is it?" "Like little feet, running. Emma." They rushed down the hallway, expecting to find their daughter wandering. But Emma's room was silent. She lay in bed, covers pulled to her chin, eyes open wide. "Mommy," she whispered. "She's walking." Sarah blinked. "Who's walking?" Emma's small hand lifted slowly, trembling, and pointed to the corner. The chair was empty. The doll was gone. Michael searched the house, muttering curses. He found the doll eventually, sitting neatly on the kitchen counter, hands folded again, its stitched smile unbroken. "Creepy little thing," he muttered, carrying it back upstairs. Must have fallen, and Emma probably dreamed the rest. But when he placed it back in the chair, he noticed something. The doll's head turned slightly toward him. He froze. "No," he whispered to himself. "I'm just tired." Still, he pulled an old blanket and tossed it over the doll. He didn't want those eyes staring anymore. The days passed, and small things kept happening. The blanket on the doll would slip off, even though Sarah swore she tucked it in tightly. Emma's toys would move around her room, stacked into neat towers while she slept. The rocking chair in the corner would creak back and forth with no one in it, and then came the voices. Late at night, Sarah heard Emma whispering softly in her room. She crept to the door, smiling, ready to scold her daughter for playing at bedtime. But when she listened closer, her smile faded, because Emma wasn't whispering. She was listening. And something else, something low, scratchy, inhuman, was whispering back. On the 5th night, Sarah entered Emma's room and found the doll sitting on her bed. Emma lay awake beside it, eyes glazed, lips moving faintly. "Sweetheart," Sarah whispered, trying not to startle her. "What are you doing?" Emma blinked. Slowly, her eyes turned toward Sarah. "She says she wants to stay." Sarah's stomach dropped. "Who says?" Emma's small finger lifted and touched the doll's head. The doll's stitched mouth curved wider. And for a heartbeat, just one awful second, Sarah swore she saw it move. Sarah told Michael the next morning. He laughed at first, then scowled when he saw how pale she was. "Fine," he said. "We'll get rid of the damn thing." He grabbed the doll by its ragged arm and shoved it into the trash bin outside. Emma screamed. She threw herself at the window, pounding with her fists, shrieking, "No! She'll be angry. You'll make her angry." Michael slammed the bin shut. Enough of this. That night, the screaming started. Not Emma's, not Sarah's, Michael's. Sarah woke to find her husband standing at the foot of the bed, clawing at his chest, his skin welted with scratches that bled through his shirt. His eyes were wide, his lips trembling. "She's in the house," he gasped, and from downstairs came the creak of the rocking chair. Michael's gasps filled the bedroom, sharp and desperate, as though invisible claws scraped at his lungs. Sarah leapt out of bed, grabbing him by the arms, but he flinched violently, eyes darting toward the door. "She's here," he choked. The sound cut him off. The creaks of the rocking chair, rising from the living room like the heartbeat of the house. Slow, measured, unstoppable. Sarah's hand shook as she reached for the lamp. The light snapped on, flooding the room, but it didn't bring comfort. Shadows still pooled in corners, stretching unnaturally long. Emma appeared in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Her eyes were hollow, her voice flat. "You shouldn't have made her angry." Michael staggered back, shaking his head. "Jesus Christ. It's just a toy. It's just a..." The lamp flickered violently, buzzing as though something sucked the power from the wires. And then, from the hall behind Emma, came the sound of small, dragging feet. Step, step, step. The doll's head emerged first, peeking around the corner, button eyes catching the light like black pearls. Its body followed, limp and ragged, arms swinging unnaturally as though invisible strings pulled them forward. Emma didn't scream. She smiled. "She likes me," she whispered. Sarah grabbed her daughter, clutching her close, but Emma wriggled, fighting to get free. "Don't touch me. You'll hurt her." The doll moved again, closer now, dragging itself across the wooden floor, its stitched smile twisting wider. Michael roared, lunging forward. He snatched the doll off the ground, shaking it violently. "You're just cloth. You're nothing!" The house disagreed. The walls groaned, wood splintering as though under immense pressure. The lamp shattered, plunging the room into darkness. Sarah screamed. Emma laughed, and Michael's own scream filled the void. Sarah scrambled to her feet, fumbling in the dark, searching for him. When her fingers found his arm, it was wet, sticky. The overhead light flickered once, sputtering alive for a fraction of a second, and Sarah saw. Michael lay on the floor, his chest torn open as though clawed from the inside out. The doll sat neatly upon him, its little hands pressed into the red ruin of his chest. Its head tilted as if listening to something only it could hear. The light went out again, and Michael's body was gone. For 2 days, Sarah refused to leave the house. She locked herself and Emma in the bedroom, praying, begging, whispering to God. But Emma didn't pray. Emma talked to her. At night, Sarah would wake to find her daughter sitting cross-legged on the floor, the doll perched in her lap. Emma's voice would rise and fall as though in conversation. Sometimes she laughed, sometimes she cried, but she always kept her eyes on the doll. On the third morning, Sarah snapped. She ripped the doll from Emma's hands, ignoring her daughter's piercing screams, and ran to the shed behind the house. She doused the thing in kerosene, her hands trembling so violently that the matchbox nearly slipped from her fingers. When she lit the flame, the doll caught quickly. Cloth blackened, stitches burned, and smoke filled the shed. Sarah's lungs burned with relief until she heard the laughter. Not Emma's, not hers, the doll's. A low, hissing chuckle that grew louder as the flames licked higher. Its button eyes popped in the fire, but the stitched smile didn't fade. It only widened. The fire surged, bursting outward, slamming Sarah back into the shed wall. Flames crawled up the beams, devouring wood. She scrambled for the door, coughing, eyes stinging. But when she stumbled out into the yard, the doll was already there, perfectly intact, sitting in the grass. Hands folded neatly, smoke rising faintly from its dress. Emma ran from the house, tears streaking her cheeks. She threw herself at the doll, hugging it tight. "I told you," she screamed at her mother. "You can't hurt her. You can't!" Sarah collapsed to her knees, sobs breaking through her chest. The doll's head turned toward her, slowly, purposefully, and its stitched lips whispered, "Stay." The word lingered in the air like a curse. "Stay." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Her knees dug into the damp grass, body trembling. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "No, you're not real. You're not real." Emma hugged the doll tighter, stroking its filthy yarn hair as if comforting a child. "She is real, Mommy. She just doesn't like you." The wind shifted. The house loomed behind them, every window black, lifeless. The yard felt smaller, as if shadows pressed inward from all sides. Sarah forced herself up. Her chest heaved. She grabbed Emma's arm. "We're leaving. Now!" Emma jerked free, her voice shrill. "No," she said, "if we leave, Daddy won't come back." The words struck Sarah like a blow. She stared at her daughter, horror twisting her gut. "Emma, Daddy's gone." But Emma's eyes were glassy, her smile unnatural. "No, Mommy, he's inside the doll." She told me. I can hear him. The doll's head lolled to the side, its stitched grin stretched taut. as if mocking. Sarah dragged Emma into the car. She locked the doors, her fingers fumbling with the keys, heart racing so loud she could barely think. The engine roared to life, headlights piercing the darkness. She backed down the driveway, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror, and froze. The doll sat in the back seat. Its button eyes glinted, grin unbroken, smoke still rising faintly from its singed dress. Emma clapped her hands, laughing. "She wants to ride with us." Sarah screamed and swerved off the road, the car bouncing across the ditch before slamming to a stop against a tree. Airbags exploded, glass shattered. The world spun. When she came to, the seat beside her was empty. Emma and the doll were gone. The police searched for hours, days, no sign of Emma, no trace of the doll. Neighbors whispered about Sarah, how grief had cracked her mind, how she'd burned down her own shed, how she'd crashed her car with her child inside. But they didn't see what Sarah saw. They didn't hear the whispers at night. 2 weeks later, Sarah returned to the house. She couldn't stay away. The walls seemed to breathe. The rocking chair groaned as though welcoming her home. She found Emma's bedroom untouched. Toys scattered, little shoes by the bed. And on the pillow, the doll, hands folded, head tilted, and Emma's voice, soft, faint, spoke from its stitched mouth. "Mommy, I'm home." Sarah dropped to her knees, tears spilling, hands trembling. "Emma, sweetheart, where are you?" The doll's blackened button eyes gleamed. Its yarn hair shifted as though in a breeze. "Inside," it whispered. The air grew heavy, pressing down on Sarah's chest. The curtains stirred, though no window was open. She reached forward, fingers quivering, as if she could pull her daughter free. But when her skin brushed the cloth cheek, a jolt shot through her body, cold, violent, suffocating. The room spun. Her vision blackened, and she woke on the floor. Hours later, the doll sat on her chest, and in her daughter's voice, it whispered, "Now you can stay too." The doll's weight pressed down on Sarah's chest like a corpse. She tried to shove it off, but her arms felt paralyzed, pinned by invisible hands. Emma's voice came from the stitched mouth, soft, pleading, "Don't fight, Mommy. Just stay." "Stay with me forever." Sarah's throat tightened. Her own daughter's voice, trapped, twisted, echoed with something darker beneath, like another presence speaking alongside her. "No." Sarah gasped, forcing her breath through the crushing weight. "Emma, I'm here for you, but this thing isn't you." The doll tilted its head. The yarn hair brushed her cheek like cold fingers. Its grin widened. "She's part of me now," Emma's voice said. "And soon you will be too." Suddenly, the bedroom door slammed shut on its own. The lock clicked. The air thickened, hot and suffocating. From the corners of the room, shadows bled into the walls, shapes shifting like figures pressed against glass, writhing to get in. The rocking chair began to move, slow at first, then violently, slamming against the floor with bone-snapping cracks. The doll leaned closer, button eyes inches from Sarah's face. "I brought Daddy back," it whispered. "Don't you want to see him?" Sarah's heart nearly stopped. The closet door creaked open, and a tall, crooked figure stumbled out. It wore her husband's clothes. His face, charred, mangled, barely human, hung loose over bone, as though stitched together. His mouth stretched open, leaking ash instead of words. "Sarah," it rasped, voice hollow. Her scream tore from her throat. The doll slid from her chest onto the floor, crawling upright on stiff legs, head jerking unnaturally. It reached for the figure, its little cloth hand latching onto his. "Now we're all together again," it said in Emma's sweet voice. Sarah scrambled backward, crashing against the wall. Her nails clawed at the plaster. "You're not real." "You're not real." The figure lurched toward her, dragging one twisted leg. Its arms opened wide, as if for an embrace. "Stay," the doll hissed. The shadows in the corners surged forward, slamming into her. She felt dozens of icy hands grip her body, pulling, dragging, tearing her from reality. Her vision went black. When Sarah woke, she wasn't in her house. She was inside the dollhouse. Tiny walls surrounded her, covered in peeling floral wallpaper. The furniture was miniature, brittle, wrong. The air smelled of mildew and burnt cloth. She staggered to her feet, her body heavy, stiff. She looked down. Her hands were fabric, stitched. Button eyes replaced her own. Her scream came out muffled, sewn inside cotton. and from the corner, the real Emma sat on the floor, smiling, holding a different doll. Sarah realized with horror, it looked just like her. "See, Mommy?" Emma said softly. "Now you'll never leave me." The dollhouse walls shuddered, closing tighter, as if sealing her in forever. Weeks later, the house stood abandoned again. Police reports closed. The mother and child gone. Neighbors whispered about curses, bad blood, evil things that clung to the land. But at night, if you passed too close, you could see it through the upstairs window, the glow of a single lamp and a little girl's silhouette, rocking in a chair, cradling her doll. If you listened closely, you might hear the faintest sound of a woman screaming, trapped inside, and the laughter of a child who would never, ever be alone again.